Half a year after my death, my mother's leukemia relapsed. My brother came to my apartment and asked me to donate bone marrow to my mother. The landlord told him that Chunchun was dead. The brother sneered, Lin Keqiang is really unchanged. In order to gain attention, he can say any excuse. He is a natural bad person, and he is not as good as Shuiro at all. Tell him, don't play tricks, go and donate bone marrow to your mother, otherwise I want her to look good. The old landlady with gray hair suddenly got angry and drove her brother out with a big broom. I said, Chunchun is dead, you are killed by your family. Chunchun has been dead for half a year, how can you make her look good? Chunchun is really bad, and there are family like you. Realizing that I was really dead, my brother turned pale and ran away in panic. I have been dead for half a year, but I have not reincarnated. Chunhun follows the Lin family uncontrollably. I watch the Lin family lively and enjoy the fun. Lin Shuiro and Li Hui are getting married, and the hotel has been settled. At this time, everyone remembered me. Are Chunchun still angry? I am getting married to brother Hui, and my sister will come. If he doesn't come, I will not recognize her in the future. This daughter was not raised by herself, she really couldn't raise her. At the beginning, I said not to pick her up, just make mistakes. My parents and brother were there, saying that I was not mine. I saw Lin Shuiro's eyes were filled with tears, but the corners of her mouth were quietly curled. She won me as a real daughter, she had nothing, and she had no life. The whole family took turns calling me, but they couldn't get through. It's been half a year since my phone has been out of power and it's automatically turned off, but it just can't be connected. After they scolded me together, they put me aside. Even if I think of it occasionally, I will scold you. Mom accompanied Lin Shuiro to try out the wedding dress. Lin Shuiro took a fancy to a wedding dress hanging in a glass cabinet. Mom, look, this wedding dress is so beautiful. I also looked at that wedding dress and felt dazed in an instant. At this time, my mother had asked the clerk to come over and take out the wedding dress. Sorry, this wedding dress is customized. Lin Shuiro likes this wedding dress very much and keeps asking about the guests of customized wedding dresses. Finally, the clerk went to check the information. It was a design drawing provided by Ms. Lin Keqiang, who was produced by our company. Lin Shuiro immediately covered her mouth and choked and said, Sister still can't let go of brother Hui, right? I'd better return brother Hui to my sister. Return it to me? I smiled sternly. Li Hui and I were once the most enviable couple. But later I was recognized by the Lin family and met Lin Shuiro. Everyone loves Lin Shuiro, and my bamboo lover loves her too. I really designed this wedding dress for myself. I used to design this wedding dress with love, and I thought I could wear it and marry Li Hui, but now, this wedding dress is something I can't touch. Lin Shuiro had never wanted anything she wanted, and her mother made the decision, I gave this wedding dress to you, just treat it as a wedding gift she gave you. Lin Shuiro declined hypocritically, will sister be unhappy? What's wrong with her? The relationship is not something that can't be forced. It's because she is bad and vicious. Li Hui doesn't like her, and she's also responsible for it. What's the relationship with you? She used to bully you and accompany you. A wedding dress is also worth it. Lin Shuiro happily put on the wedding dress and happily turned around in front of the mirror. My mother looked at Lin Shuiro with relief, and I was always eager to do it. My mother always does Lin Shuiro's affairs by herself. She said that she wanted to leave no regrets for her baby's lifelong affairs. And after I was stolen, I was just a redundant person. I watched my mother change the wedding dress for Lin Shuiro day and night. Lin Shuiro is fatter than me, and she is unwilling to change her wedding dress. The mother, who loves her daughter as much as her life, insists on changing her wedding dress herself regardless of her body. Mom, in fact, Lin Shuiro, a popular fashion designer in the circle, basically wears clothes designed by her mother all year round, and I will never have that honor. Later, I became a designer myself and designed clothes for myself. No one loved me, so I loved myself. My mother fainted on the night of the wedding dress modification. After being sent to the hospital, the situation was indeed very serious. The patient's leukemia recurred. Dad shook his body and almost couldn't stand it. How could it be? Didn't you say you were recovering well at that time? Is there something wrong with the patient's health recently? My daughter is going to get married, and my wife may be a little tired after being busy. Recently, she changed her wedding dress for her daughter and stayed up for 2 nights. Is this life-threatening? She has recovered her body, so how can she survive? Get up like this? Doctor, what should I do now? Please save my mother. Lin Shuiro looked at the doctor with tears in her eyes. The doctor looked serious. I'm going to have a second bone marrow transplant, so call Lin Kachunlai. Suddenly, everyone thought of me again and kept calling me. Hello, the phone you made cannot be connected for the time being. Everyone's face was ugly when they heard the sound from their phones. Lin Shuero cried and said, sister must be still angry with me. I'll beg her to save her mother. Leave Li Hui and leave the Lin family. Lin Kechuan, this bitch. My mother is critically ill now, and she doesn't answer the phone. It's indeed a cruel and vicious bitch. I looked at my brother who was connected to my blood, and it turned out that I was just a bitch in your eyes. Dad also sneered. He thought he would hold us in this way and wait for us to beg him? I don't want his bone marrow. Since that unfilial daughter doesn't care about my life and death, I will not behave like this daughter in the future. My mother woke up from her coma and attacked me in disgust. My brother angrily hammered the wall hard. I'll go find her. I followed my brother to the house where I lived before my death. Bang bang bang, my brother knocked hard on the door. His expression was full of disgust and impatience. After smashing the door for a long time, no one came to open it. Just as we were about to leave, the old landlord came over. The old lady lived in the opposite door, and must have heard the noise and saw where Lin Kechuan went. The old lady was stunned for a moment. Chun Chun. Such a good girl, but unfortunately she was not in good condition and died at a young age. Dead? How is that possible? Old lady, you are really good at joking. The brother laughed directly, not believing it at all. Yes, in his eyes, I'm just a disaster. It's a disaster for 1,000 years. How could I die so easily? But I'm really dead this time. Who would make such a joke? Chun Chun is really dead. The brother still sneered. Lin Kechuan is really unchanged. In order to gain attention, he can tell any excuses. I am his brother, and I know the best who he is. He is a natural bad person, and he is not as good as Snow. Ro. Tell her not to play tricks and donate bone marrow to her mother, otherwise I want her to look good. The old landlady with gray hair suddenly got angry and took a big broom to drive her brother out. I said, Chun Chun is dead. He was killed by your family. Chun Chun has been dead for half a year. He also said how to make her look good. Chun Chun is really in trouble, with family like you. The brother's body froze there, are you kidding? Lin Kechuan is really dead? How is that possible? Get out. Get out. There is no beast like you. The brother fled in panic. I followed my brother into the car. My brother smoked a cigarette, and the smoke was shrouded in the smoke. I saw my brother's face dim. Knowing that I am dead, is my brother a little sad? The smoke went out and my brother's cell phone rang. He lowered his eyes and looked at it, and the note was Baby Shuero. Lin Shuero is Shuero baby, what about me? Oh, I am a debt collector. This is the whole family's notes about me, surprisingly consistent. My brother answered the phone, and Lin Shuero heard a hoarse voice with a slightly choked voice. Brother, what do you say? Are you still angry? Don't argue with my sister, I'll go over and apologize to my sister. My brother and sister are stubborn, go and go. After donating the bone marrow, he said he would never recognize us again. Even if he died outside, it had nothing to do with us. I was afraid that my sister would do something stupid. When the brother heard this, his originally obscure eyebrows and eyes instantly stretched out. Wow, Lin Kechuan is so awesome now, and he still knows to pretend to be dead. I stood there in a daze. My brother thought I was pretending to be dead, so he didn't investigate or verify. Yes, they don't care at all. I am always the object of their subjective speculation. What should I do? My mother's body can't wait. I don't believe it anymore. Without him, Lin Kechuan, there would be no other suitable bone marrow. Yes, I will always be the one that shouldn't exist. After my brother went back, he told me about pretending to be dead with ignorance, and the whole family instantly began to attack me. It turns out that he is an ungrateful wolf who is not well fed, just thinking about himself. Why did I give birth to such a heartless thing? My brother and sister were still angry with me, so I apologize and apologize. The siege reached its peak in Lin Shuero's crying. While comforting Lin Shuero, they scolded me with even more vicious words. Li Hui hugged Lin Shuero, reached out and patted her back, comforting Shuero. It's not your fault, kindness is not the reason why Lin Kechuan bullies you. No one is destined to like someone who is vicious in his mind. Lin Shuero was sobbing softly in Li Hui's arms, but I remembered some things from the past. After Lin Shuero's mother threw me out, she threw me into the trash can. I was picked up by human traffickers and sold me to a couple who had no children for many years. Less than a year after adopting me, the couple gave birth to twins. After that, my days that were originally considered ordinary became dire straits. At the age of 3, I had to start learning to do housework and take care of my younger brother and sister. If there is any trouble, my father's big slap will be greeted. It is also a luxury for me to eat and wear. During such hard days, Li Hui was one of my few lights. He would secretly stuff me candy on his way to school and would treat my wounds after I was beaten by my father. We got into college together and naturally got together. I was thinking about being with him for the rest of my life, and he was with Lin Shuero. I shouldn't have pitied him at the beginning, that's a heartless thing. Li Hui's mean words pulled back my thoughts. So is it a pity for me to be with me? When I was helping Li Hui with the tutoring, he once praised me, "Chun Chun, you are really the best girl in the world." After going to college together, I had the opportunity to study abroad for 3 months. The school was a wise man. But Li Hui really wanted to go, and he held me and begged me to give him this opportunity. After I nodded, he hugged me happily and turned around, "Chun Chun, don't worry, I worked so hard to give you a better life in the future. I hope you can marry me in a glorious way." Li Hui abandoned it like a piece of grass, and only I held it tightly and couldn't let go. Even if the one in my hand was rotten in the palm of my hand, I still seemed to be holding a life-saving straw. And Li Hui, he couldn't remember it long ago. Dad and brother used various relationships to find other suitable bone marrow for mothers, but where is the right bone marrow so easy? In just half a month, the doctor issued an ultimatum: you must find the right bone marrow as soon as possible, otherwise your mother will be in danger. So everyone started calling me again, but still couldn't get in touch. They looked at each other and found that there was no other way to contact me except to call me. Dad coughed. "Do you have any phone calls from Lin Kechuan's friends and classmates?" Everyone looked at Li Hui. Li Hui took out his cell phone and called several classmates and friends who were good at me. Lin Kechuan hasn't been in contact for almost a year. The brother turned black. This Lin Kechuan is a strange thing. The fetus actually didn't even have a close classmate and friend, and I didn't know where to hide. I didn't care about it, and I deserved to be annoying. My mouth was bitter. If I can, I don't want to stay here at this moment. I don't want to be annoying either, I also want to be loved by everyone like Lin Kerong. Otherwise, let's try this method. Lin Shuero handed the interface opened by her mobile phone to everyone. It was a local emotional adjustment program, which has been quite popular recently. At this moment, the advertising video of this variety show is being played on the interface. At 8:30, let's make an appointment in love. You can come to us if you have any emotional problems, family conflicts, or help from relatives and friends. I'm a little hesitant, it's not good to have it on TV? After all, the Lin family is a well-known figure locally. If things go to TV, if something goes wrong, it will become a joke in the circle. Lin Shuero bit her lip, but we couldn't contact her sister anymore. We were trying to save our mother. As long as you can contact my sister, you should try any method. My brother also thinks it makes sense, right? It's not us who are wrong, we are all victims. Lin Kechuan is not afraid of embarrassment. He does something that ignores his biological mother. What are our concerns? My father no longer hesitated and immediately contacted the TV station and promised to sponsor 30 million yuan to the TV station. Half an hour later, a group of people were sent to interview and record the video. I couldn't help but want to laugh, my family is really ridiculous. I am dead, do you still have to show up in front of the whole city and even the people of the whole country? Chun Chun, come back. Mom doesn't need you to donate your bone marrow, but Mom is afraid that she will not have many days and wants to look at you again. Sister Chun, come back, everything is my fault. If you want to beat or scold me, you will never complain, as long as you come back. Mom, Dad, and brother miss you very much. Chun Chun is back. My brother did not do well before, which made you unhappy and will learn to be better for you in the future. Chun Chun is back, Mom and Dad miss you. Chun Chun, as long as you come back, Shuero and I will cancel the wedding. My family, who was scolding me in the hospital, changed when they arrived at the camera. The family members who were looking forward to my return were something I once longed for, but these were all tears, just to make me come back and donate my bone marrow to my mother. Even if it was fake, I didn't even look at it. How great it would be if all this was true. As long as I can remember, I have encountered an unfilial life, so I longed for the light to shine in. I thought Li Hui was Guang, but in the end I was just about to pull me out, I pushed me away and let me fall into a deeper abyss. Later I thought that the Lin family was my redemption, but the Lin family was just another abyss. My existence never seemed to be expected. The Lin family staged a tear-jerking show in front of the camera, which deceived themselves and countless people in front of the TV. The story of countless people crying and the mother searching for her daughter in tears has been on the front page of the local daily newspaper. The 3 words Lin Keqiang swept the audience. The most beautiful family encounters an unfilial daughter. The Lin family has become a moral model, while I have become an unfilial daughter, a ruthless beast, and is set on the pillar of shame. Mom, is this what you want? If I am alive, I am willing to donate my bone marrow to you again, and I love you sincerely. No matter what, you gave me life, but why did you hurt me like this, Mom? Lin Keqiang got out when he saw someone. Why am I? Lin Keqiang is an alumnus, but he feels shame. If you have a daughter, you should be like a forest, and Shuiro will not be like a forest. Keqiang searched the whole process and found this unfilial daughter together. His mother gave him life, but because of his anger, he refused to donate his bone marrow to his mother. He ignored his life and death and was ruthless and unrighteous, and was worse than a beast. The overwhelming curses and overwhelming malice poured me overwhelmingly, and I felt a burst of suffocation. Is it really my problem? But what are my problems? Am I not doing well enough? I started searching for human flesh throughout the whole process, and things from childhood to adulthood were revealed. In order to gain traffic, many people have come out to tell me about my deeds. I am Lin Keqiang's adoptive mother, Lin Keqiang. I have been vicious since I was a child, and my younger brothers and sisters give in to him. After all, I am not my biological son, so we can't beat or scold him. I didn't expect that he now ignores his biological mother. We also have a responsibility, and we have not taught her well since childhood. I am Lin Keqiang's high school roommate. Lin Keqiang is very unkind. She studies well and never plays with classmates who are poor in her studies. If she has poor grades, she will ask him for homework. He never takes it a disdain. I am Lin Keqiang's college roommate. When Lin Keqiang was in college, she was very particular about dressing. At first, I thought he had a good family background, but later I found out that he often didn't go back to the dormitory at night. I am Li Hui's roommate, Li Hui. As Lin Keqiang's boyfriend, I really didn't say that. He is always there. He is often ridiculed by us when he gets food and water. He is a loyal dog who will break up later. It is also because Lin Keqiang followed others. Brother Hui never let us say these things. She said she would get together and part with her. After all, she was a girl she liked. I looked at those faces and they were indeed the people in my memory, but were they talking about me? Seeing them taking the money handed over by Lin Shuiro, I understand that human nature is so insignificant in the face of wealth. Because of these people's testimony, public opinion was rampant for a while. The reporter took the Lin family to find the landlord. Old lady, please tell us where Chunchun is, otherwise I will not be able to rest in peace even if I die. My mother was in tears. She was always dignified and cold in front of me. She had endless tears to me in front of the camera. I suddenly remembered the scene when I returned to the Lin family. At that time, I had just worked for 3 months and had to rent a house, eat, and borrow money to study for graduate school. Li Hui's salary was naturally very difficult. I was wearing an ordinary t-shirt bought on Taobao and washable white jeans. I stood on the expensive carpet of the Lin family and was overwhelmed. At this time, Lin Shuiro helped her mother walk down the sporting escalator. The mother and daughter were covered with noble clothes made by private customization, like clouds in the sky. I thought carefully. My mother walked up to me and looked at me with a picky look. Are you my daughter? I couldn't believe it. My legs were stirred together at a loss. Shuiro, is it really my sister? You can follow Shuiro well in the future. I looked up at the girl beside my mother. She smiled on her face in a bright and handsome face, but there was ridiculous ridicule and victory in my eyes. What's going on with you? I told you that Chunchun is dead. Don't you understand human words? The angry voice of the landlord's old lady pulled me away from my memories. I saw my mother holding the old lady's hand with tears on her face. Impossible, how could my Chunchun die? She must be angry with her mother. The old lady said, Chunchun is dead. Where is Lin Keqiang's grave? There is no grave in Chunchun. As the old lady finished speaking, I looked up and there was a boo. Chunchun is really dead. That day Chunchun called me to say goodbye and said that she wanted to be scattered into the sea after she died, so she should not worry about it and not look for it. This explanation not only has no effect, but also proves my pretending to be dead. The overwhelming malicious laughter filled the entire city and targeted me. Did I actually make so many people hate it? I laughed at myself, and my heart was slowly swallowed by darkness and malice. Chunchun is the most beautiful girl in the world. In the studio at 8:30 in the action, when the host and the audience were passionately attacking me, an old voice came. I followed the sound and saw the door of the studio being opened. A grandma with silver hair stalked in. moving closer and closer until she reached the center of the stage. Everyone saw her face clearly and exclaimed, "Teacher Sonha." It turned out to be Teacher Sonha. Treasure-level artist. Seeing Teacher Sonha, I couldn't help getting closer. In the ambulance that was taken to the rescue room, Teacher Sonha always held my hand and kept encouraging me, "Child, promise me that I must survive. Survive, Grandma Sonha will play the piano for you every day." I didn't survive after all. In the studio, Teacher Sonha took the host's microphone, but she burst into tears. "Chunchun is really the most beautiful girl in the world. Don't say bad things about her, she will be sad when she hears it." The audience below was in an uproar. If it were someone else, they would have jumped up to refute it, but it was Teacher Sonha who said this, so they held back and couldn't believe it. Do you still remember the news from half a year ago? The brave girl held the criminal tightly and was stabbed to save countless little angels by stabbing more than 10 times. That girl is Chunchun. Everyone was shocked, and they took out their phones to search for news from half a year ago. The news was sensational. A middle-aged man was laid off and divorced. He rushed to the kindergarten with a fruit knife in an impulse. It was evening after school, and there were people at the entrance of the school. His arrival was like a wolf entering a flock of sheep. Finally, a girl rushed over, hugged the criminal tightly, and was stabbed more than a dozen times. At that time, the strong back was called the most beautiful back, but it turned out that person was Lin Kechuan. Chunchun finally left after a day and night of rescue. Before leaving, Chunchun said that she would be unknown all her life and would like to leave silently after her death, and not announce any news about her, so that she would just leave silently. This is Chunchun's last wish. How can we bear to disobey it? Why do I know so clearly? Because my little granddaughter was there at that time. I witnessed Chunchun's courage and perseverance with my own eyes. I was hospitalized a few days ago and didn't know about this, otherwise I wouldn't have let anyone say bad things about Chunchun. Teacher Sonha was already in tears. When he thought of the painful scenes again, he was still sad and regretful. Many people also cried at the scene, and some people were already crying and saying, "I'm sorry." The Lin family looked at each other. They probably didn't expect Chunchun to die, and it was such a heroic way of dying. Especially my mother, listening to the news on her phone, she kept muttering that date. Yes, it was the day when she donated her bone marrow to her mother. You owe Chunchun an apology, and this city owe Chunchun injustice. Chuanhua heard the noise from the gate again, and then 5 people came over. One of them was not an ordinary person, but the traffic girl, Su Qinghua. I will be the representative to tell the story of an angel. Su Qinghua snatched the microphone from Lin Shuero's hand. I had a car accident half a year ago, and my eyes were injured and I almost lost my eyes because the cornea donated by Chunchun made me severe. Get light. It was Chunchun who gave me a new life. In addition, Chunchun also donated 2 kidneys and a heart, and finally donated her body to the medical school for medical research. This is Chunchun's decision before her death. She burned herself and illuminated our lives. Before she died, she had to call her landlord and the old lady, saying that they had made an appointment to go dancing together on the weekend, but this time they would miss the appointment, so they had to say something to the old lady. She was afraid that the old lady would be sad, so she said that her ashes would sprinkle into the sea at that time. Such spring is worthy of everyone's heart. All the rumors mentioned on the internet are rumors. In order to restore justice and innocence to Chunchun, we personally visited Chunchun's hometown, elementary school, middle school, and university. Then, Su Qinghua asked the staff to play the video they recorded on the big screen. I am Chunchun's neighbor. I grew up watching Chunchun. Chunchun is pitiful to her children. She has to learn to cook at the age of 3, and has to wash the whole family's clothes at the age of 5. I feel pitiful. How distressed my biological parents feel when they see it. I am Chunchun's elementary school teacher. Chunchun's grades have always been among the best, a very well-behaved and sensible little girl. During this period, her parents wanted her to drop out of school. It was because I visited her home several times, and I explained it to her reason and persuaded her to leave. After the rumors in the village, Chunchun was reluctant to continue studying. I am Chunchun's high school deskmate. Chunchun is really a very kind person. He always answers questions from classmates in the class very patiently. In our class, except for 2 or 3 who don't learn well and always mess with gangsters outside, everyone else loves Chunchun very much. He is our class's banbo. After playing until the end, the entire studio was filled with tsunamis of sounds, the most beautiful spring and spring. It turns out that I am worthless, and so many people recognize me. I heard countless apologizing to me and felt kindness. This time your family can be said to have shot themselves in the foot and looked for me with great fanfare. As a result, I have been dead for half a year and I don't know. This is simply the biggest irony of the year. I was extremely angry at the behavior of fooling the masses. Your family felt the backlash from all directions. Lin's company's stock hit the limit that day and even launched a boycott of Lin's company. Everyone in the Lin family was like rats crossing the street for a while, and everyone shouted and beat them. What they wanted me to experience before now is all about them. My father and brother are worried about the company's affairs, and they don't take good protection when they go out, and they will even be thrown eggs. Lin Shuero hid in the hospital all day long, with only the nurses accompanying her mother. It seems that I am concerned about my mother. No one is here to cause trouble at the leukemia hospital, but my mother still receives various harassing calls on her mobile phone. My mother's condition was not ideal, but now it is worsening quickly under all the pressure. She called Lin Shuero to come to the hospital to accompany her, but she was rejected for various reasons. My mother didn't want to wait for death in the hospital, so she secretly discharged and returned home. The house was quiet, so she went back to her room, but she heard someone talking in the room. Did that old man keep calling you? The voice was the nanny at home. Aunt Zhang's mother stopped when she opened the door. Mom is so annoying. There are nursing staff in the hospital, and I keep calling me to come and accompany her. Lin Shuero's gentle voice was extremely sharp at this moment. It's also her retribution. She doesn't love her own cubs. She loves other people's cubs. She will be punished this time, just wait for death. Mom, you are nice to me. Of course, my mother had a lot of choices back then, so I chose this one for you. Then there was the sound of smiling gossiping. I looked at my mother's face, which was extremely dark and ugly. Mom was silent for a while, but left quietly. I don't know if it's loss or numbness. Even so, does my mother still think Lin Shuero is better? My mother went back to the hospital and ran into a man in the aisle in a daze. It's you? Did your daughter not accompany you today? Yes. Mom looked surprised. The man explained, you may not know me, but I remember you and your daughter. Didn't you have surgery here half a year ago? At that time, I watched your daughter accompany you up and down, no matter where you go. What are you doing? Your daughter is nervous and careful with you. Mom. I am so envious. Your daughter is really a caring little cotton-padded jacket. Hearing others praise, my mother just replied coldly, she is dead. Mom walked around coldly. The man was wonderingly about to say something when he was pulled over by the person next to him. After I was reliable when my mother left, I vaguely heard the man's muttering, is there such a cruel mother in the world? You have given birth to such a good girl. Poor mother now thinks that my child, you probably won't be able to do it? Because when I saw Lin Shuero coming to the hospital, my mother still talked to her as usual. The doctor said, I don't have a few days to live. Before I die, you go to the suburbs to see the crabapple flowers with me, Mom. Don't say that. Shuero feels sorry for her mother. You will definitely be fine. If you want to live 100 years old, you must also look at Shuero happily. Lin Shuero was in tears, and her mother immediately hugged her. Mom can't bear to leave either. You should call Li Hui and Aunt Zheng, too. The day when I went to the suburbs to see the begonia, my mother insisted on driving by herself. My previous wish was to drive on a trip when I get old. Now I can't do it. So let me drive such a short distance, which is the last comfort. After my mother said this, others no longer objected. After all, it was only an hour to go to the suburbs. When my mother was tired, she could change to someone else at any time. Do you regret it? My mother's cold voice suddenly rang in the car. Mom, what did you say? Lin Shuero was still innocent and ignorant of the world. But my mother didn't buy it, but instead laughed nervously. Hee, in your eyes, I must be the stupidest person in the world, right? I don't love my own baby, but I love my enemy's baby. Lin Shuero and Pingyi's face changed instantly. Stop quickly! Zhang Yi shouted. Li Hui also realized that something was wrong and wanted to snatch his mother's steering wheel. I have always claimed to be smart, but in the end I was caught in my eyes. Everyone said that I am blind and my heart is blind and I deserve to get sick. I also think Chen Chen is so good and she is so well behaved. I actually do this for you. Fakes hurt Chen Chen. I have nothing to compensate Chen Chen, so I just took you down and apologized for Chen Chen. Chen Chen, I'm sorry, Mom was wrong. Bang. After a sharp turn, the car rushed down the hillside next to it and rolled down. I was stunned. Mom, do you really feel sorry for me, or do you feel that you have been fooled? When the police arrived, the situation in the car was tragic. The mother and Zhang Yi, who were sitting in the front row, died on the spot. Lin Shuero suffered a large-scale burn and had a serious impact on her legs. The doctor said that she had to amputate her limbs to survive. And Li Hui was the least injured. I saw that at the moment when danger came, he pulled Lin Shuero hard and blocked him. He was just blind, but permanently blind. However, after the major traffic accident was reported, the whole city shouted that there would be revenge. Lin's company was hit hard again, and major shareholders sold their stocks one after another. The loss of a daughter and wife was hit by the impact of unemployment. My father died of a sudden heart attack one night and was discovered 3 days later. Less than 7 days after my father died, Lin's business went bankrupt. My brother had nothing in an instant. What remains is the city's malice towards him. I watched my brother drink all day long. Finally, it seemed a little crazy. Later, I didn't go to see my brother much. My brother seemed to have become an unkempt beggar. Drunk and dreaming. Waiting for the passers-by to live in the bridge hole. I've been staying in the cemetery lately. Everyone found some things from me before my death. I set up a tomb in the cemetery. There are always flowers in front of my grave. Teacher Sonha asked someone to bring a piano and played his words of the day. I will play the piano for you every day, my child. This is a song made by Grandma Sonha for you. Spring and spring do not look back. The past suffering has passed. Tear the darkness. There is infinite light outside. Child, Grandma wishes you a peaceful and smooth life. I listen to the songs made specifically for me by the piano every day by Sonha. The depression of the prelude is like my first half of my life. Being bound. Being suppressed. Surrounded by darkness. It's a little bit of light despair. I was weak and helpless. A little light of alms. All of them can make me like a treasure. Hold it tightly. It's like the soul deeply trapped in the song. One hand toward the darkness. Like a proud phoenix. Never surrender to reality. It moves forward. No more looking back. It's like the rainbow after the winter sun shines on the wind and rain. After listening for a month, I felt the depression in my chest dissipate. The whole person suddenly became enlightened. It's not that I'm not bad. It's just that things are unpredictable. People's hearts are just sinister. I finally felt relieved. I looked at the kind and gentle eyebrows of Grandma Sonha. Listening to the bright piano music. I know it's time for me to leave. My soul is getting weaker and weaker. Finally turned into starlight. Completely dissipated. In the next life, I would like to love myself better. Break through all bonds and shackles. Face the storms of life bravely. Don't be afraid of the future. The whole text is over.